Yes. Okay. Let's just talk first. Um, Lum, please, what have you been up to this entire week? Yes, a week has passed.
Same time. The big one. Ready? One, two.
To be honest, not much really. This whole week I only like go to extra classes and playing game, that's all.
Hmm. Shouldn't that sound like heaven to you? Like you have nothing
Yes,
going
but
on except for extra classes and video games.
but I'm tired of doing it.
Okay,
I
well
kind
then,
of want to go to school now.
and let me guess, when you actually have to go to school, you're gonna regret it every single day.
Yes,
I
but
know,
it's
right?
just for this moment I want to go to school.
Yeah, and then when you actually have to go to school, you regret every single moment of having to be there. And then you start daydreaming about the time when you have no schoolwork whatsoever, and then you can glue your eyes to the screen. But then when that happens, you start thinking about, your friends and all the knowledge that you can learn at school. Okay. But then, if there's one thing that you would like to change about your daily routine, what would that thing be?
I would like to like work out more.
Hmm.
I like all day I just like and sitting still in a place playing game, and I
Hmm.
only move when I like go eating or like go play football or something. But the playing football, I don't think that is enough to like give me a healthy health.
Sure.
I
Well
need to
then,
get in shape.
do you live near a gym or maybe a park with like outdoor, like workout facilities?
Sometimes I yes I do go to that. Sometimes I go to the gym or the park to like work out sometimes, but that just come to motivation and that's come to that's motivation, and I don't like keep that as a daily routine, I think.
Okay. Well, apparently you're being really picky here. The thing about, working out is that it's more about discipline than inspiration and motivation. But then again, look, you have what grade are you in right now?
I'm in grade 11.
Okay. Well, um, look, you're still a high school student, and I guess it makes sense that you still view working out as a thing that is driven primarily by motivation. But I feel like, somewhere down the line you figure out that if you really want to work out like successfully, you need more than that. You need commitment, you need discipline, and perhaps an expensive gym membership to make sure that you will show up at that place and pull the weights every single day because you don't want to throw money out the window, right? But then again, I know next to nothing about it because when I was at your age, I said the same thing. I wanted to work out, but I don't want to be overly committed to it because I have other responsibilities. I have bigger fish to fry, chemistry exercises to solve, and everything in between. Okay. Now, people, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the second group of topics, which is places. And of course, nobody is looking at my screen because I'm not sharing anything. Um, but we're going to get started now. I like you to tell me one thing that you need to bear in mind as you navigate the speaking test. Just one thing, one crucial thing. And I will evaluate whether it's something that is worth your time, right? And don't give me a vague answer, all right? Like, I need to extend my ideas. Yeah, of course you have to do that. Zoltan, please, what do you need to do
Huh. What do you mean?
when you do the speaking test? What is The one thing that you need to bear in mind.
Keep calm.
Hmm? Keep
Keep
calm.
calm.
Oh, that's a pointless thing to do. Look, for you, Zoom, you need to speak in longer chunks of words. That should be your focal point. Keeping calm. Pointless. Let's continue. Lua, please. I'm not assuming that you're gonna take the test anywhere down the line, but let's say you do. What is the one thing that you need to bear in mind?
Yes, I think it's my speed.
Correct. You need to speak a bit faster. Good work, Lua. You hit the nail on the head. Zoom, I expected answers like that. I may not look like it, but I know exactly what you need to work on. And even if I don't, keep tabs on these notes, you have to be responsible for things like that. Okay. But if you say the wrong thing, I'm gonna, fact check you real quick. Let's continue, hun. Just one thing.
Think about what to say, like focus on the content rather than vocab and grammar.
Hmm. Maybe that is the case for you. The thing about you, Hun, is that you're clearly capable of speaking English, right? That's out of the question at this point. But I guess, like most other speakers, mm, sometimes you like fluctuate, like you don't really display the same level of fluency and accuracy under all situations. So perhaps that's something you
Yeah.
need to work on, even when you're given a really hard question. But the focal point is certainly like, extending your ideas and maintaining a high level of accuracy, right? But I mean, if the question is hard, what can we do? Hmm. Okay. Well, that's the spirit, hun. I don't think that I have a like special note for you because at your level, it's more like, yeah, I mean, like there's room for improvement, and you just improve whatever it is that your faulty answers seem to suggest, right? There's no
Yes.
systematic error here. Well,
Yes. Okay.
but I guess it means that you're in it for a different set of issues. Okay, now people, we're gonna continue with the speaking mock test. I hope that you're gonna bring your A game. Let's talk about your hometown. Let's start with Tien, please. Where do you come from?
Well, I come from Hải Phòng, a coastal city in the north of Vietnam, and Hải Phòng is also known as one of the most popular tourist destinations in Vietnam.
Hmm. Is there anything that you would like to change about your hometown?
Not really. I'm quite satisfied with all the things around my city. I mean, it's basically kind of well developed to a point that there are almost every facilities that anyone can ask for. For example, there are parks and large museums as well as department stores for people to go and relax after their days of working.
Hmm. Would you recommend other people to come and live in your hometown?
I would definitely. I mean, despite the fact that my city is one of the most developed cities in Vietnam, the living expenses here are quite affordable compared to other mega metropolises like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. And the people here are quite laid back, and the atmosphere is fresh and has not been affected that much from urbanization.
Lovely. Let's continue. Dũng, please. Let's talk about your hometown. Where do you come from?
I come from Hanoi, which is a hustling and bustling city. This is uh, I mean that Hanoi is the capital city of Vietnam, with vibrant atmosphere.
Thank you. Well, then, is there
There,
anything, thank you. Is there anything that you would like to change about your hometown?
I live on the outskirts of Hanoi.
Hmm.
It's not well developed. and I like quiet, and like there's no traffic. So, well, I think it's nothing to change.
Hmm.
I love it.
Well, then, would you recommend other people to come and live in your hometown?
What do you mean?
Would you recommend other people to come and live in your hometown?
Yes. As I mentioned earlier, like the quiet atmosphere and slow pace of life, uh, that's really like attractive. I mean, good point for all the people to live here. They can just relax and mm, that it prevents them from the vibrant atmosphere
Hmm.
in the center.
Thank you. Just a moment. Let's continue. Let's talk about, thank you, Zoom. Let's talk about quiet places. Lua, please. Is your area quiet?
Yes, I'm living in countryside, so it's quite tranquil and quiet here. Um, there's a lot of places that is suitable for us to relax after a hardworking day in the afternoon.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Do you prefer studying or working in a quiet or noisy place?
of course, it's quiet because in quiet places, I can study and work on a higher focus, and it helped me to work more effectively.
Hmm. But then, do you think that Vietnamese people enjoy living in noisy areas?
Mm, I think it depends. Some people want to live in noisy places with it's it's a little bit vibrant, so they can participate in some activities and enjoy their entertainment. But
Thank you.
some yes.
Thank you. Let's continue. Lâm, please. No, I don't want to talk to you right now, Lâm. I want to save you for later. Miss Rena, please. Let's talk about quiet places. Is your area quiet?
Well, I could say that it's kind of hard for me to tell my area which is quiet or not. But in general, in my near my house, there is a garden which is kind of quiet. So I just say that in such a metropolitan city like Hanoi, which is kind of overwhelming with a lot of noise, I think my area is kind of peaceful because like the garden brings a sense of tranquility with a lot of trees and flowers around.
Hmm. But then do you often go to quiet areas in the evening?
In the evening, actually, I'm juggling right now multiple responsibilities, and especially in the evening, it is often packed with like so many responsibilities, activities as well. So it's very hard for me to wander around in a serene place. But in the daytime, whenever I have some time for myself, I often go to a park, which is packed with a lot of shady old trees, and I often enjoy some fresh air there to
Thank you.
recharge my battery.
Thank you. Do you think that Vietnamese people enjoy living in quiet areas?
Well, actually, I'm on the fence on this. Um, because most young people tend to prefer a more vibrant place, such as like a metropolitan area like Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. The most important reason is they often find these places more lively. They have more activities, especially in the nighttime, to enjoy, and also they can build much better career in these big cities.
Thank you.
However,
Thank you. Thank you. Well, in the next part of the test, I'm going to show you all a topic. And of course, you have 1 minute to make some notes, and then between 1 and 2 minutes to speak about what you are asked to talk about. Yeah, so that's what you're going to do. Okay, hold on just a moment. I need to push this thing down. I want to show you the screen. Okay. Share. All right. Okay, now everybody, you have 1 minute to make some notes first. Okay, remember, you can speak about this topic between 1 and 2 minutes, and don't worry if I stop you. Now, let's start with Hun, please.
So today I would like to talk about a home of my friend, which is a cozy studio room located pretty near our university in Bintan district. Uh, if I remember correctly, I had a chance to drop by her house as we did group work together. And based on my impression, she lived alone and she has a great sense of art. Therefore, she decorates her rooms to her liking, and the room looks really beautiful and well furnished with the green tones, which makes you feel really refreshed the right moment you stepped in. Basically, there are like some functional sections, including bedroom, kitchen, right enough for one person to comfortably comfortably live there. But the icing on the cake may be the balcony where she put some potted plants and give it some really chill vibes. Um, and I really like this home since it gives you sense of comfort when you step into the house, and the way that all of the furniture and things are arranged gives you the sense of a nice organization. Um, and So that kind of her house, the way that she's decorate her house and arranged things really inspired me to, go home and arrange my living space. So yes.
Thank you. But then, do you often visit this house?
Mm, not so often. Maybe once in a while when we gradually get on well with each other.
Thank you.
Always
That should be
I
fine.
start to yes.
Thank you. That should be fine. In the next part of the test, I would like, sorry, not in the next part. Let's do this topic again. One more person. Thank you, Han. Lum, please. Remember, you can speak about this topic between 1 and 2 minutes. And don't worry, if I stop you, you should start speaking now, please. Lum, turn the mic. Hmm? People, can you see my screen? It should look something like this. Can you see my screen, Lum? Lum, can you see the screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen.
If I pause now, can you still see it?
Yes.
How about now? Can you still see it?
Yes.
Okay. Remember, you can speak about this between 1 and 2 minutes. And don't worry, if I stop you, you should start speaking now, please.
I would like to talk about is the countryside house of my uncle in the suburban area of Hanoi. The house itself is a beautiful blend in modern and traditional architecture. It is a two-story villa surrounded by a garden filled with flowers and trees. And also he has a small koi fish pond as well. The exterior features large glass window that allow natural light to uh, flood the room. Inside the design is minimal, but it's quite cozy as well with a like wooden floor, uh, a stone like a stone plated a stone plated like table and custom made furniture that my uncle ordered from a famous store in Hanoi. The owner of this house is my uncle. You she spent uh, she
Thank
spent
you.
her life
Thank you. Do you often visit your uncle's house?
really. I only go there in special occasion like Tet or like her birthday like that.
Okay, fine. Just a moment. Hmm. Let's continue. So we're going to move on to speaking part 3, and I have a particular point to make. So today the focus is more on speaking part 3 than part 1 and 2. We're still going to go through these 2 parts, but as I mentioned, we're not going to allocate a lot of time to these segments. I want to stop sharing the screen now. Okay. In the next part of the test, I'd like to discuss with you 1 or 2 general questions related to what 2 of you have been talking about. Sometimes I think that studying in a class can certainly give you more eye-opening experiences. And I want to talk about that later on. Like when you hear your classmates use very nice vocabulary items and idioms, especially the ones that have been taught to the entire class, that can be a moment of epiphany, you know. It motivates you to really step up your game so that you don't fall behind. Okay, enough propaganda. Let's discuss a few questions. Now, please, let's talk about types of homes. What kinds of home are popular in Vietnam?
Well, I think nowadays in Vietnam, people tends to like living in apartment. Yeah, but if we talk about house, I think that people will love their house that located in a peaceful area,
Mm.
or it can be in the center, but that house in the center must be like one that's look astonishing, or it will be look very weird in a
Mm.
ton of like tall building like skyscraper around.
Thank you.
But
Thank you. But then, among young Vietnamese people, do they prefer living in apartments on their own, or with their families, or in houses with their families?
uh, for me, young people now will, I think they might love living alone, like on their
Thank you.
own.
Sorry, not thank you, but why? Why?
Yes, I think it is because they want to like try to stand by their feet, and I think they will love to have like their own places that they will be all the things that will be decorated by them, or they will love to have their own private place, so that they can do everything without the eyes of others that may judge them. And I think
Mm.
young people now will like love being independent, because their parents sometimes may um feel unsatisfied with everything they do.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Lovely. Let's continue. Bum, bum, bum. We have covered everybody. So let's circle back to the beginning. The end, please. Let's continue talking about types of homes. So, what are the advantages of living in a house?
Mm, Actually, I'm not kind of well versed about this. I mean, I have never thought about it. I just assume that houses are made to live in. So if I have to guess, I would say a huge advantage of living in a house is the fact that you have your own house. I mean, you own your own house without having to rent it or having to live with somebody else. Yeah. Another thing I can think of right now is I would say having your own house can lead to more opportunities to customize the exteriors to your liking. I mean, people can decorate their house in whatever ways that they want to, compared to living in a rented accommodation where you have to abide by the rules of the contract and cannot do any customizations on your own.
Thank you. Um, nowadays, do Vietnamese people tend to buy a house or rent a house?
I think I would side with the latter option
Mm,
because with the increasingly high prices of houses, I guess that it will take a very long time for Vietnamese people, especially the young, to own their own houses. And I have seen more
thank you.
cases where
Thank you. Is there anything that the government can do about that?
Um, I'm not sure about it. I
Mm,
I mean, there have been many laws about giving young people discounts when they loan money from the bank to buy their own houses, but I haven't seen those actions, those laws being enforced right now. Uh, it has been more of a suggestions than the actual laws. And I think that the problem here is the low wages or daily monthly salaries of young people
thank
and
you.
the increasing.
Thank you. That should be fine. Let's continue, Miss Rena. Let's talk about living in an apartment. What can be the disadvantages of living in an apartment?
Mm, Well, the first one coming to mind is you may lack privacy. I mean,
Mm,
because the apartments often offer, like a very near. I mean, it is very hot. It is very easy for you to live in an apartment with out without the soundproof, you can easily hear your neighbor's voice or your neighbor's sound, in your own house. And one more thing I'd like to mention is that because now most apartments complexes also have a lot of facilities on a first floor or the ground. So that's why it makes the atmosphere or like the security in an apartment become more complicated and
Thank you.
most of
Thank you.
people.
Thank you. So despite these disadvantages, some apartments are still very, very expensive. What can be, the explanations for, their prices?
Well, mostly it comes from the quality or like the level of luxury that apartments complex that offer to residents. Like in a very luxurious apartment complex, they often offer so magnificent or spectacular design, or you can enjoy five-star services under right your feet. For example, you can go to a swimming pool, with a very high, with a high level of hygiene. Unlike other, swimming pools in other, just, I mean, apartments, normal apartments. Um, People often go there with very easily.
Thank you. That should be it. Let's continue. Let's talk about housing prices. Hun, please. So, what are the factors that can influence property prices? Hun,
Hello, I'm
Hun, can you
sorry.
hear
I'm
me?
sorry.
Mm,
Yeah, I'm sorry to turn on my mic.
mm.
I think the main point here is that when a lot of people have a demand to buy a house, it's obviously that the housing prices will skyrocket, and it happens quite frequent, especially in major cities where it attracts a lot of people because of job opportunities and better infrastructures they offer. So that's the reasons why it lead to housing shortages and eventually increased housing prices.
In addition to that, is there any other reason that an apartment or a house can be exorbitantly expensive?
Mm, well, let me think. Mm, Other than that,
Do you think that
mm,
the location of a place is also an
oh,
important variable
yes,
here?
yes, the location is also a contributing factor to the high price. When you live in places, especially take Ho Chi Minh City as an example, when you live or buy in a house near the city center, the price is really exorbitant because it provides you easy access to a lot of amenities and office buildings. Um, and
Thank you. Does that mean that houses and apartments that are in central locations are always more expensive than ones that are not as central?
I would say so,
Hmm,
due to the convenience of transportation and um, the nearer you live in, the nearer you live with, like the nearer you live to your workplace, the more you can save time. I mean, yeah.
thank you. That should be fine. Let's continue. Zoltan, please. We have a few more questions. Hmm. In your opinion, why are some people willing to pay lots of money, not for diamond, but for a house?
Mm, well, I think that this is because they just want a something that they couldn't live without worrying about the price. Like, for example, young people like tend to save up their money, in my opinion, like just to afford a house in a central city. It's like they can easily get access to all sorts of amenities.
But then, do you think that this tendency to spend lots of money on property will perhaps become less popular in the future?
Uh, I haven't thought about this before, but I guess that mm, mm, it's it's it is quite a challenge for young people like to afford a house in the future because the house prices are increasing and like land holdings is also the main domain which boosts the economy of the country.
Thank you. That should be fine. Thank you. Now, one more person. But after this Zoom, if you're available, just make sure that you make a comment about it. Now, Laura, please.
Yes.
Let's talk about home ownership. Do you think that the government should limit the number of houses and apartments that people own?
I think no, because people can have their abilities to own or houses based on their economic, and I think they can own as many houses as they can afford.
Why?
Yes, because I think houses is also a way to store as properties. Yes, that's all.
But then, is there any harm in allowing people to, just buy as many apartments as they can afford to?
Can you repeat the question?
Is there any harm in allowing people to buy as much property as they can?
So, if a lot of people own as many apartments as they can, so it may be there may be the people with high income ability, so this will increase the prices of the apartments. So the people with lower income cannot be affordable to the apartments.
Just a moment. Thank you. Now I'm going to show you the notes. Oh, this has been a rough session for everyone. Then again, it happens to the best of us. Okay. You can have a look at my notes here. I think that let's start with Tien. You know what? I would say that in speaking part one, you sort of took my advice and tried to cover longer chunks of words, but it actually backfired because you ended up like talking without natural pauses, right? And in speaking part three, I thought that your rhythm was much better. So I feel like, there's that sweet spot where you would sound very natural without sacrificing your fluency. You need to stay in that zone. For the time being, I can give you the credit for, you know, not letting solid advice, fall on stony ground. But I think that your intonation and rhythm in speaking part 3 was vastly superior to what you did in part 1. But still, you did a good job. As for your intonation, for example, I would like you to copy my intonation there. For example, not for example, it's more like for example.
For example,
Good. After days of working, what do you mean?
I mean, after working, I'm not sure about it.
You can say after working all day long.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's much better.
Okay. It's not that much better. It's just more natural. Not that much better, to be honest. Dũng, I do have to say that you haven't really got your fair share of practice this week, and I'm to blame as well. But you need to work a bit more at home because I feel like your pronunciation is kind of lazy, like lua in a lot of cases. Like you say city and then Vietnam and vibrant. I don't like that type of pronunciation. You have to put more energy in your words and stretch them out. Don't just city, Vietnam, vibrant. That sounds like you're already giving up the fight. So let's do it again. So I'm living in Hanoi,
I'm living in Hanoi,
which is the capital city of Vietnam.
which is the capital city of Vietnam.
It's a vibrant place,
It's a vibrant place,
and there's always something going on,
and there's always something going on,
which is lots of fun.
which is a lot of fun.
Okay, well, outside of that, I think that the area that you need to work on is your reflexes. Strange, because if I'm not mistaken, a few weeks ago I actually told you to, perhaps put your reflexes on the back burner so that you could, tap into like familiar ideas and things like that. But well, this is an alarming result, in my opinion, Zoom. This is a fundamental topic. Hometown. You're not supposed to sound like that when you are talking about something that's supposed to be familiar, right? So for instance, if you talk about where you live, you should sound more like, so at the moment, I'm actually living on the outskirts of Hanoi. And what I like about this area is the quiet atmosphere and there aren't a lot of vehicles, so there isn't much to be changed here. I mean, I like the tranquility, and I would like my neighborhood to stay that way. You know, like I'm not saying that like your ideas are that complicated, but if my memory serves, you did cover this topic before, right?
Yes,
Well, then do something about it because it was awful. All right, it was awful. People, I like at the beginning of this year. I'm not quite sure if any of you were there, but at the beginning of this year, I told myself that when you're gonna turn over a new leaf, you're gonna be super positive. You're gonna give people all the compliments, and you will refrain yourself from criticizing others. Right? You know what? I give up today. Okay, I'm gonna tell you as it is because I'm a teacher. I'm not your friend. We can be friends though, because I'm a cool person, and I like hot pots. If you like hot pots, you can be my friend. And if you eat a lot, we can definitely hang out. But I'm still your teacher, and I still want to like emphasize things that are to be done. Zoom, this is. Let me repeat my message here. You can probably try to sugarcoat it however you want, but I think that your answers today were just awful, and they're not awful because of the complexity of your content, and it's because you covered this topic before, right? You did these questions once or twice or several times. I don't know, And this is one of the central topics when you do the speaking test. So, you know what? Within the confines of this class, I would say, yeah, go you. You should do whatever it is that you're doing, and you keep on working harder to improve your speaking skills. But from the perspective of someone who's supposed to prepare you for a speaking test, which you may take somewhere down the line, I have to say, I mean, you have to set the bar a bit higher. It's been a month. It's been a month. I'm not saying that a month is all it takes for you to jump a band score, because it's very unrealistic. But you have to do something about it. You have to sound more natural. You have to sound more fluent. You have to produce longer utterances. So do what you must, Zoom, and give me the results. When you hop in our support sessions, I expect you to, like, do better. Do better, because this is like bad. This is the same. This sounds like what you would say even without my instructions, and it's embarrassing as a teacher, you know. But I'm going to call a spade a spade. You're capable of improvement. We've seen it, but you're wasting your time here. Okay, so you do something about that, Zoom, or else 50% of the course has already passed through. You may hate me if you want, but if you want to do the test, you have to step up your game, or else you're going to be given a really bad score, which is going to embarrass you for the most part, because I've already done my test. Okay. I have no other comments regarding your word choices, but your delivery was awful. Let's continue. Look, I thought that what you did in part 1 was fine, but your part 3 answers were diabolical. These were so bad. As I've mentioned, I want to tell you as it is. Okay, look. So you did part 1 pretty well, but your answers in part 3 were just awful. Like you were wasting your time.
I just don't know what to say. I can't think of any reasons. I don't know what to say.
Do you practice often?
Maybe no.
Well, then you will never know what you need to say, Lord. I have to tell it. I have to give it to you straight here. I mean, like, it just gets on my nerves a lot. And no, I'm not like antagonizing you, Lord. I'm not hating on you. I'm just telling you as it is. As a teacher, as your friend, I don't speak like this. You know that, like, right, Lord. As a friend, I don't speak like this. But as a teacher, like, I have expectations for you, and I recommend that you do something about your schedule or whatever it is that you do in your daily life, and practice a bit more, just a bit more, because that was awful. And it doesn't matter how many lessons you have if you don't practice, if you don't, go through the lack of comfort when you're unable to cover questions that you have never heard of by yourself, then you will never know what you need to say. I have already taught you how to generate ideas, but of course, the methods can only go so far. Okay. And I have to say, like, when you told me that you don't practice that often, it made my blood boil. As your teacher, by the way, look, not as your friend. As your friend, I would say, yeah, you go, girl, do whatever it is that you need to do. But as your teacher, I am majorly disappointed. That was awful discipline. What do you think you're doing here, Luo? You and then, Zoom, and I'm gonna call out some names here. Hold on. And well, hold on. I don't think I should throw Lum in the mix. Lum as well, but you get your turn, okay? Boy. Now, but for Luo, I have to be honest with you. This is not the way to do it. I understand that we're gonna go through the sample answers, but do what you must. You need to practice more. Or else, if you're thinking about and you're taking the test, and I have to say, you're being super delusional. Okay? Like, I know that you're capable of speaking English, and you can formulate your thoughts pretty well. You actually made solid points towards the end. But my God, what a horrible delivery. Really, girl? You do realize that this is the class for 6.5 to 7.5. You're trying to reach the level of between good and very good. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 9 in Vietnamese. Have you ever got 9s in your literature tests?
Yes.
Well, you know how did you have to work hard for these nines?
Yes.
Well, then do something because your answers were awful as well. And by the way, these answers were not awful because your ideas were awful, anything like that. Your ideas were fine. The vocabulary that you were able to use to verbalize your thoughts were fine. But your delivery, your lack of experience, your lack of practice was awful. Like it was written all over the place, right? My God. So practice more law and stop being delusional. You're not going to improve. Not in these 2 hours, not 2 hours in a class. No, 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 no. Don't be delusional. 2 hours in one day of the week will never make a difference. You know it, right? As a
Yes.
teacher yourself, you know it. So like I'm talking to you as a teacher and someone who is supposed to push you a bit closer to the goal of the course. You need to work a bit harder and do something about that schedule of yours. But you know what? If you're not
Yes.
taking the test, that's fine too. I'm just gonna say, you go, girl. Okay? Have you received the last message? You go, girl.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Miss Rena, you're next in line as well, Miss Rena. You know what? This is gonna be a hard lesson, y'all. I want to wrap it up in like 5 minutes so that I don't drag everything out. You're next in line, Miss Rena. Your pronunciation this week was off the rails, to say the least. What can we do here? Look, again, the content of your answers was fine, right? But you need to do something about that pronunciation of yours because you're relapsing. You're not stretching the words out. And I feel like I wonder if it's like like justifiable for me to say this, but I feel like you're like devolving into what you did a couple of months ago. Let me give you some examples here. Packed with. Can you say that word again? Packed with.
Packed with.
I thought that you were saying piped. This word. Packed. One more time. Packed with.
Packed. Packed
Good.
with.
Okay. Um, and then you know what? You made lots of like minor errors that were really getting on my nerves. Like, to tell me my area, which is really to tell if my area is quiet. One more time. It's difficult to tell if my area is quiet.
It's difficult to tell if my area is quiet.
I need you to stretch some of the words out. But then again, we've been talking about this for as long as I can remember. One more time. It's kind of difficult, not difficult. It's difficult. It's kind of difficult to tell if my area, not area, is area. You need to breathe the word out to tell if my area is quiet.
Okay, so it's kind of difficult to tell my area. Sorry.
To tell if.
Sorry. It's quite difficult to tell if my area is quiet.
Okay, fine. And metropolitan city, really? A city is a metropolitan area.
Sorry. A metropolitan area.
Okay, you know what? Like, Miss Rena, I have nothing else to tell you because these are the two main issues. And it breaks my heart every single time I have to make the same damn comment again regarding your pronunciation and your random word choices. Because we both know, well, in this case, because I'm the only one who cares about you in this class, you might not care about yourself and your speaking abilities, but I do. Because I'm the teacher here, right? And it breaks my heart every single time I have to repeat the same damn comment. I'm gonna sound like a broken record, saying the same thing again and again. And unfortunately, like you've got it in the bag as well. You know exactly what you need to do. It's just that, the moment you feel too confident about yourself, you essentially you lose control. That's a problem, right? Or maybe I'm, spiraling out of control here. All right, look, Miss Rena, that's all I have to say to you. Just more control next time, all right? Breathe the words out and use better collocations. All right. Oh, okay. Now, Lum, you're next. Are you ready, boy? You see, I'm a very merciful teacher, right? If I do need to get things off my chest, I'm going to give you some time just to mentally prepare yourself. Lum, are you there?
Yes.
You were talking about your uncle's house, right?
Yes.
Is that a real place?
No, it's a made up place.
No wonder why it was so awful. Again,
I
I have no problem with your content, but your delivery was awful, right? It was down the drains. It was awful. Now repeat after me. It was what now?
It was awful.
Exactly. That's not the kind of affirmation that I want to have in my life. And I don't want you to say something like that as well. But let's consider this as a punishment, for the both of us, with me being the incompetent teacher and you being a fictitious writer or something like that. But that was awful. Really. Your content was fine, but the way that you put the pieces together as you were speaking was so evident. It was so damn evident. You're not gonna get a good score with that approach. Okay. So I have no problem with your word choices. I just had an issue with the way that you delivered these horrible, horrible words. Horrible. You could have just talked about an ordinary house, and then perhaps you can talk about what you would do there. You know, prepare some meals, watch TV, spend time with your friends, right? Pull an all-nighter because one of your friends just cannot stop talking, and then the conversation just keeps on flowing until daylight. You don't really have to talk about a house. You just need to mention a house. You need to say that, okay, this is a very beautiful place, and it gives really positive vibes. But what I like about this house is the fact that, well, it's my friend's house, and we often go there, right? And you talk more about your friends. That's fine too. Okay. So learn from the experience because that was awful, and I need to move on, or else I'm gonna. Oh, okay. Lum, have you received your message?
Yes.
Thank you. Hun, please. Well, you know what? You're a breath of fresh air today because oh no, not really, Hun. I just remember something, but I'm gonna get a positive note out of the way first. I thought that your depiction of this house was fine. You did miss a beat at the beginning. Feel refreshed. The right moment you step in. Oh, right? You feel refreshed the moment you step in, or right when you step in. Okay?
Yes.
Nice organization.
Right. You step.
Oh, right. Nice organization. I mean, it was correct grammatically speaking, but it didn't sound natural. Oh,
Yes.
there were many other words. It looked lovely. The organization of the furniture was pretty interesting. I mean, I wouldn't really do something like that for my own house, but I like the table, the chairs, even some of the paintings on the wall. And I'm just giving you an example here. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I'm not even talking about anything that I have laid my eyes on, but that's one way for you to keep the conversation going without, sounding desperate. And unfortunately, yeah, you start fraying around the edges towards the end. Okay. Now I want to give you 5 seconds to prepare for my next assault. Are you ready, girl?
Yeah.
Okay, I wonder if this is deja vu. I feel like I've done this already, but okay. Hun, your speaking part three answers was awful. I mean, the first answer was fine, but then your third response was bad. That was all there was to it. But to be honest, I have no recommendation with regard to like the content that you could bring to the table. Again, my only issue was your delivery. I'll do something about that, hun. Look, I'm not gonna give you any recommendations regarding like ideas and vocabulary and everything in between because I know that you have it in you.
Yeah.
But you need to be a bit more strategic with your approach. And there are all kinds of things you can talk about when it comes to the factors that decide whether a place is expensive or not. When it comes to a location, do you remember the third question that I asked you?
The third question, like, houses that are near the cities are always more expensive than those that are far away.
Okay, fine. The thing about like giving a definitive answer right from the get-go is that you might end up sealing your deal right then and there. And there's
Yeah.
nothing else to say. Right? You can say, look, when it comes to extreme questions like that, you know this from writing, although you haven't taken a writing course from me. But when there's the word always, don't agree. Just say, I'm not quite sure. If you say, I'm not quite sure, there's definitely a lot of room for you to, stretch your legs, so to speak. You can say, well, I guess it depends. Right? I mean, like in Ho Chi Minh City, I think that there are central areas that are super expensive. Like an apartment there might only have enough space for like one person, but it can cost as much as like a 5-story building in a less densely populated area. Right. But when you move to special areas like town, the neighborhoods, these are gated communities. Right? These are gated communities. So each house there is probably worth like 10 apartments in the central region because of the elevated services. And in a way, these areas are portrayed as, I wonder if they should be called, symbols of status because only super wealthy people can afford a place there. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm giving you a demonstration here, like completely
Yes.
off the cuff. But like for
Right.
everyone, what I'm saying is that like when you're given a really hard question, you don't have to respond definitively right away, right? Take your
Yeah.
time, say, I'm not too sure, and then go through different options.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, hun. Enough of you.
Yes, thank you.
You know what? Now, hold on. I've commented on everyone, right? Now, you're the only one that's still waiting to be commented on. Now,
Yes.
you know what? I think that we can end things on a high note here. And to do that, I need you to remember 2 things. Make sure that you fix your ending sounds. People tend to, not people tends to. Okay.
Yes.
Talk about houses, not talk about house. Okay. Just say these 2 words. Here.
Houses.
No, here. People tend to.
People tends to.
People tend to
People tend to.
talk
People
about
tend
houses.
talk about houses.
Okay. Apparently that is a pronunciation error that's still plaguing you. You need to get to grips with that.
Yes.
Astonishing, my God. Well, you try to use a hard word, and I'm already running out of steam. I'm not gonna like throw you under the bus and criticize you. Or maybe I will. Hold on, let's just finish this. Astonishing.
Astonishing.
No, astonishing.
Astonishing.
Ton. It's not ton, it's ton. Astonishing.
Astonishing.
Standing by their own, cute. Stand on their own 2 feet. That's an idiom. Just stand on their own 2 feet.
Stand on their own 2 feet.
Okay. That's all. Your ideas were solid, by the way. I need to wrap things up here, or else you know that I have a tendency to over criticize people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly have been my student for a long period of time, so you know my proclivities for criticisms. Okay. Oh my God, that's a hard session. I blame it on all of you. Okay, I blame it on all of you. Any question thus far? We're gonna have a short break until 9:15, and then we're gonna actually get to the lesson. Zoom, have you got the link for this lesson?
No, I haven't.
Okay, let me drop it in the chat box. If there's no question, give me a number 1, and then we can have a short break. Oh, that was emotionally taxing. You guys need to start your game. Okay, let's have a short break. Okay, people, I do have a point to get to, so let's go through these sample answers. As I've mentioned, when it comes to like learning from sample answers or like developing your own like typical ideas, you need to develop this habit of thinking and like speaking in like complete ideas. Okay, so we have like answers here, and we're just gonna try to I guess chop them into sensible chunks of words. But I need to tell you this again. Like there's certain phrases that are not supposed to consume any like mental energy, right? And the more phrases like that you have, the easier it is for you to actually improve your speaking skills. So repetition is key, and like being open-minded and flexible is also instrumental. Okay, now Zoom, I'd like you to do the honor. Is your area quiet? We're just gonna go through all these sample answers. You make sure that you bring your like pronunciation to the table, right? And then I'm just gonna chop them into sensible chunks of words. Come on. Is your area quiet?
I say no. I'm living in a small apartment with my mom. It's slightly run down, but what's great about the building is that it's surrounded by big leafy trees, which have to block out all the noises. So it's pretty peaceful, even though the building is located next to a big road.
Do you prefer studying or working in a quiet or noisy place?
Well, I go for the former. In the past, I used to like studying at noisy places because I often study with my friends. We would
Rendezvous.
um, rendezvous,
Rendezvous.
rendezvous. We would
No, no, no,
rendezvous.
no. Not verse. Pay attention to my pronunciation. Just copy it. Rendezvous.
Oh, rendezvous.
No, no S there. No S there, Zoom. No S. Rendezvous.
We would rendezvous at a popular coffee shop in the old quarter every week to revise. But as an adult, I find it really hard to concentrate when there are other people chatting next to me.
All for rhythm.
Yeah.
Mind your pacing. You're giving a demonstration here. Do you prefer to go to quiet or noisy areas in the evening?
Well, I actually rather the latter. You see, I tend to teach in the evening, so I don't get to spend time in crowded places that often. Whenever I have time off in the evening, I always goes to big shopping mall or nice restaurant. The comings and goings of people make me feel like I'm part of the fun city life as well.
Just the last bit made me feel like I'm part of the fun city life, not life
Like,
as well.
okay.
Not okay. Repeat. Just this part. This is part. I'm part of the fun city life as well.
Sorry, I'm part of the fun city life as well.
Not as well. As well.
As well.
Okay. Do you think that Vietnamese people enjoy living in noisy areas?
I don't know for a fact. I suppose it depends. Young people probably would enjoy it because they might find this environment dynamic and fun, whereas older adults might appreciate somewhere more peaceful so that they can rest, especially after a hard day at work.
Fine. Thank you, Zoom. Oh, by the way, Zoom, I need you to work on these words. Former, not more. Former.
Formal,
One more time.
formal,
Former.
formal, formal.
I used to.
I used to.
Apparently, you are capable of enunciating the used, but every now and then you dip in and out, right? Sometimes you say I used to. Sometimes you say I used to. I used to. The you, not the
I
used.
used. Yes.
Mm. As an adult,
As an adult,
almost there. As an adult,
adults.
not quite there.
Adult.
Fine. Okay. So as you can see, there are different approaches, right? For the first one, well, this is just a description, not exactly a big deal. Um, you don't really, I don't recommend you like making your answers overly complicated. You can say, I would say so. Like I'm living in a small apartment with my mom. It's slightly run down, right? But what's great about the building, that's a phrase, by the way. What's great about the building is that it's surrounded by big leafy trees, which help to block out the noise. So it's pretty peaceful, even though the building is located next to a big road. Okay, stretch the words out. So this is fine, not a problem. Down here, I would go with the former. Like you get to choose between the former and the latter. I would go with the former. In the past, I used to like studying at noisy places because I often studied with my friends. We would rendezvous. This is a very nice word. It's French, by the way, but it means to gather at a popular coffee shop in the old quarter every week to revise. But as an adult, I find it really hard to concentrate. So this is a chunk, right? I find it really hard to concentrate. I find it really easy to concentrate. I find it really hard to maintain my focus. I find it really hard to focus. I find it really hard to maintain my concentration. Like phrases like that are not supposed to require a lot of mental work. But then again, if you don't use them that often and um, you don't speak that often, then you're gonna have to piece each word together, right? You're gonna sound like, I find it really hard to concentrate. That's not how you should speak, especially when you can say, I find it really hard to concentrate. Duke, please, how are you gonna cover this chunk here? Oh, sorry, Dũng. Dũng, how are you gonna cover this chunk? How are you gonna say it?
I find it very hard to concentrate.
I find it really hard to concentrate.
I find it very hard to concentrate.
This phrase then.
But what's great about the building?
No. But what's great about the building? One breath, no in the middle. But what's great about the building?
But what's great about the building?
No. Lazy. One more time. But what's great about the building?
But what's great about the building?
This part here.
Which help to block out the noise.
No, which help to block out the noise.
Which help to block out the noise.
You need to put more force. Yeah, something like that in the words that you speak, because I'm not quite sure why, but your pronunciation just comes off as lazy to me. It's like you're out of breath all the time. But that's not you. You're far stronger than that, physically speaking. So why do you sound like that? Right? Put some like force behind it. Thank you, Zung. Okay, rendezvous. Do you prefer? So this is really just a comparison. Like in the past, I used to like studying the answer past, right, and then present. Do you prefer to go to quiet or noisy places in the evening? I would actually rather the latter. You see, I tend to teach in the evening, so this is really just me talking about my work answer, my personal experience. Still WH questions, by the way. Whenever I have time off in the evening, I always go to a big shopping mall or a nice restaurant. The comings and goings. Oh, this is a really nice phrase. The comings and goings of people. Okay. That's a phrase, by the way. It means that people just come and go. Make me feel like I'm part of the fun city life as well. Right? And I don't know for a fact. I suppose it depends. Or as Miss Rena put it, I'm still on the fence about this. Not on, right? I'm still on the fence about it. Young people would enjoy it because they might find this environment dynamic and fun, whereas older adults might appreciate somewhere more peaceful so that they can rest, especially after a hard day at work. So this is just a vague answer, and then you guess, right? You guess. You talk about young people, you talk about old people. So I think that there's nothing wrong with a definitive answer. Like you do have to have a direct answer, but it doesn't have to be definitive. Okay? There's a difference. There's a difference between direct and definitive. Definitive is like you have to choose. So here, do you think Vietnamese people enjoy living in noisy areas? If it's definitive, then you have to say yes or no, right? But direct means you can say yes or no, or you can say, I suppose it depends, right? It's still direct. It's still directly tied to the question. It's just not definitive. It's not dichotomous. Okay? So learn to embrace this side of speaking. You don't always have to give me like a specific answer, like right off the bat. You can say, I'm not sure. Let me think. So I see that young people probably would enjoy living in the city center because there's always something going on. Like shopping malls open till like 10 or 10:30 late at night. And even when these malls are closed, people still have many kinds of places to be. Like for instance, you can go to bars that open, I don't know, until 6 in the morning, or food stores that are open all day long to have some food if they want, right? So learn this kind of speaking tactic. But then again, my methods, or whatever methods you can find, can only go so far, right? Practice. Now we're going to move on to speaking part 2. This is still not the focal point of the lesson, but I do have to I still have to go over it just to prove a point. Okay. Now, there's no need for us to do popcorn today because I'm not in a good mood. So Hun, I would like you to do the first part, and then hold on, I'd like you to do the second part. And my question is, do you actually have to describe a house, and only describe a house, when you go to speaking part 2? Now, Hun, please have a read.
Yes. So today I'm going to talk about my student's house. As I've mentioned, I'm working as a freelance teacher and I do teach offline classes. So one of the classes is held in my student's house somewhere in Long Binh district. It is a gated community with lots of privacy, and you actually have to contact the owner of the house to get in. I mean, I personally don't really know the way to get there since I'm not a good driver, and whenever I come, I have to order a Grab car to pick me up. It's pretty nice though, since I don't have to brave the elements. So I come to this place twice every week since I have a class on Tuesday and another on Thursday. What I like about this house is the fact that it's really spacious and well decorated. I also really appreciate how I'm welcomed by the nice air conditioner, which is crucial in this current summer heat that is in full swing. Mm.
Love.
So we often have classes in the kitchen because there are lots of chairs and a gigantic table in the center. The room is huge and it's convenient for the kids when they need a cup of water or something like that. The house itself is very well designed. There's all elements that I like, such as the color of the walls, which is a deep shade of blue. Then there's lots of paintings, which were painted by the kid himself. One thing that stood out for me though was
Okay, fine. So Hun, answer the question. Is this answer only about houses?
No, it's actually a mini story, um, relevant. I mean, also, but it is related to a house, but not necessarily describe the features.
Of that house. You
Yeah,
know
of that
why?
house. Um, to maintain fluency, because maybe we don't have enough vocabulary, or we can describe something in detail on the spot. So it's good to tell a story, right?
Yes, that's the point. I don't have enough vocabulary to talk about houses in a technical way, right? I'm not going to talk about, like a fish pond with koi fish. I'm not going to talk about how beautifully decorated the walls are. I'm not going to talk about, the floor to ceiling windows because I don't have that sort of vocabulary. I don't talk about houses like that. So why am I going to do that in the test, right?
Yeah.
This is just me hopping in and
Yeah.
out when I talk about houses. And instead of talking about like, the architectural features of a house, which I know next to nothing about, I want to talk about this house in conjunction with other things, right?
Yeah.
Here, who cares if I'm like a freelance teacher? Nobody does, but I do because I need to say something to keep the conversation going. And
Yeah.
it's better for me to stick with what I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm working as a freelance teacher and I do teach online classes. So one of my classes is held in my student's house somewhere in Long Biên. I know exactly where that place is. I just want to, use this structure here, right? It's in a gated community, fine. Okay, vocabulary, nice vocabulary here, right?
Yeah.
And you actually have to contact the owner of the house to get in. I mean, but that's all there is when it comes to this house. Because then I'm going to flip back the script and say, I mean, I personally don't know the way to get there since I'm not a good driver. And, whenever I go there, I have to order a Grab car to pick me up. It's pretty nice though, since I don't really have to break the elements. And, the best thing about this route is that I can just make a beeline for it. See that? So, like, that is
Yeah.
my mini story about my journey, right? You can say it's something about the location. You can say that is it easy to get to, right? You can talk about the weather. You can talk about whether or not you can make a beeline for it. Oh, by the way, Ngọc, Ngọc, I have a question for you. Ngọc, do you remember this idiom? I think that you were there to witness history when I taught that class with this idiom. Now,
The make a beeline for it.
yes, does that idiom ring a bell to you?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember anything about this.
Ah, you're dismissed. Look, people, I say this all the time. When I talk about a park, this is exactly what I say. Now, Bien, can you give me a demonstration? How can I use this idea to talk about a park?
Hmm, I can say that the park, although it's very good and spacious, it's actually far from my house. So I have to use Grab car to go to there with my friends.
Really? That's how you're going to use an idea that is given to you?
I'm not actually
You
sure
can just use
about
the
it.
entire thing. You can say, well, that park is actually in a different district, and
Uh,
I
I personally don't know the way to get there
since I'm
since
not
I'm
a
not a good driver. And whenever I come, I have to order a Grab car to pick me up. So it's pretty nice though, since I don't have to brave the elements.
And the route is also fantastic because I can just make a beeline for it. There's no
Uh,
traffic light whatsoever, right?
yeah.
So I'm gonna say the same thing about a park. Okay. Now, how can I use this to talk about a coffee shop? Uh, Laura, please. How can I use this to talk about a coffee shop?
Yes, I usually go to a coffee shop with my friend in the weekends to revise some exercises. Um, the coffee shop is in different district. So I personally don't really know the way to get there since I'm not a good driver. And whenever I come, I have to order a Grab car to pick me up. It's pretty nice though, since I don't have to brace the elements.
Fine, right? So have I demonstrated to you all that there are ideas that can be used in different contexts? Yes or no? If you say yes, then just give me number two. If you say no, that's not possible because we have just demonstrated it. People, give me a number two. Okay. So you know what? My opinion is this. I'm fully aware of the fact that, sometimes like teachers have to like spoon feed you sample answers and structures and vocabulary and things like that. But from my personal experience, even if I do teach you, structures and things like that, you're not going to use them, right? I don't think that, the students of this class have made a clear effort to use my idioms. You tend to say whatever you want to say, and I respect that, right? At this point, I have stopped resisting, which is why instead of like teaching you all the words and asking you to repeat them and using them in like a different practice session with teaching assistants, the approach of this class and this course is that you can say whatever you want to say. Just make sure that you do it well. All right. If you don't do it well, do something about it. Okay. So this is a tactic that I have already mentioned, and I'm fully aware of the fact that not everybody can use it, but do something about it. Right? If you don't want to take my advice, fine. You better kill it when I ask you a question. All right. But since most of you have done a horrible job today, take my advice. Right? Learn something. You don't need to like use my ideas, but you need to ponder upon that question. Like, do I have any ideas that I'm familiar with that I can like just pull out of the bag when like people ask me? Or will I have to constantly like synthesize new ideas? I mean, if I have to, freestyle on the spot all the time, well, then congratulations. Yeah, I'm really flexible and have great reflexes, but I have no precision whatsoever. Okay. So this is a typical idea. And I'm pretty sure that you have heard what I usually say about my work. I'm not going to use it here, but I'm going to like scatter these ideas around. So I come to this place twice every week since I have a class on Tuesday and another on Thursday. So this is me sticking to my core as a teacher. I'm not deviating from that to talk about the structure of the house because I don't have any vocabulary about that damn house. Although I can see it clearly. I mean, I visit it on a regular basis. But what I'm trying to say is that like I'm out of my league when it comes to like actual architectural vocabulary. Okay. So you do what you must. If that's not exactly your domain of expertise, make sure that you tap into the ideas that are more familiar to you. Like what I'm doing right here, right? So what I like about this house is the fact that it's really spacious and well decorated. Yeah, and that's it, right? I'm not gonna go out on a limb to talk about, the paintings on the wall, or the nice staircase, or the fact that there's a huge chandelier in the middle of the house, or how soft the sofas are, or how huge, some of the tables are, or how fabulous the sculptures are, or how beautiful the garden is, because I don't talk about things like that, right? So I'm gonna stick to my air conditioner because I know how to talk about it, right? And down here, so we often have classes in the kitchen because there are lots of chairs and a gigantic table in the center, right? The room is huge and it's convenient for the kids when they need a cup of water or something like that. Okay. So all I'm trying to say is that, look, you need to be more strategic when you approach like speaking part two questions. And as I've mentioned, I no longer have the motivation to force you to say what I want you to say. I want you to, just grab the bull by the horns and, develop your ideas and construct your own sample answers. That's fine. But as you can tell, that is not always going to work. Your flexibility can only go so far. Do something, learn something, use phrases more often, right? For instance, Hun, you could have talked about your friends. And Lum as well, you could have talked about your English teacher, right? You don't really have to describe it. You can just say, well, you know what? I want to talk about the house of my former English teacher. And you just say that, well, you know what? It's very beautiful. It was very beautiful. Or you can say it's beautiful. It's easier to just streamline everything and talk about, the topic in one tense. So you can say, well, I want to talk about, the house of my English teacher. And it's mostly because I really like her and think that she emanates this very positive vibes, and she's always supportive when it comes to my classes, when it comes to my education. So her house is not that big. It's, I think, in a particular area, and it's not super crowded, but the area is not super crowded, but it's very convenient for her work because it only takes her like 10 minutes to get to school. And what I like about the place is the fact that, it's well decorated. I mean, there are paintings on the walls, and it has a very nice view of the city. And we go there actually on a weekly basis because we have classes there. We would just do lessons and things like that. We would sit in a particular room, and she would just teach us all of the essential things that we need to pay attention to, when it comes to exam preparation and things like that. And like, I really like the vibe there. I mean, I spend a lot of time studying, within the walls of her house, and her husband is also very nice. Like, I don't know what he does for a living, but whenever we like see one another, I always say hi to him. You know what I'm saying, Lum? Like, I'm making up a story on the spot, and what I'm trying to tell you is that like you produced a very nice description of your English teacher eons ago, right? You could have tapped into that and just say a thing or two about a house. And I know that, look, like, yeah, Mr. Guan, aren't you supposed to be teaching us about, how to talk about a house? I'm teaching you how to do that right now, right? You can do all your research on the internet, but if you don't have like the flexibility to, tap into ideas that you're more familiar with, you will always be on your back foot. And by that I mean like you'll always be in a passive state, and you always talk about the things that you have never talked about in your life. And that's naturalness, but at the same time, that naturalness comes at an expense, right, Hun? Didn't your naturalness come at an expense?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, and
I'm trying to twist the knife a bit further into your wound because of obvious reasons. Okay.
yeah.
Let's continue. Now, speaking part three, we have 7 minutes for this, and there's a point. There's a point to this. As I've mentioned, I have no problem with the content of your answers, but your delivery was horrible. Horrible, people. But you know what? Like, when you do the test, sometimes your examiner is going to be like super invested in whatever it is that you say, and they're gonna like stop you and bombard you with like all kinds of questions. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I'm gonna read out the answer, and I would like you to do popcorn here. Okay, I like to catch everybody off guard, and I'm gonna read the question. All right, I'm gonna read the question, and yeah, we're gonna see how things go. Now, what types of homes are common here in Vietnam? Lua, please.
Well, there are several types. The first would be normal houses and private zone.
Mansions. Depending on whether you live, the type of property can be Minh Hân.
Relatively cheap or cost a fortune. For thing,
Instance, if you buy houses in the city center, chances are up.
You will have to pay a lot more than when purchasing Zoom.
An apartment.
Let me continue. Zoom, you will continue here. How much more expensive?
Well, I'd guess by a large amount, if I'm not mistaken. Dũng?
Dũng,
Uh, a house near the city center can cost around $1 million, whereas an apartment, Rina.
It's only half that.
why are houses? Oh, sorry. I'd like to take a moment here to appreciate Zoom for saying, whereas an arena. Did you hear that? Miss Rina, did you hear that? Or maybe I misheard it. I thought that he was saying, whereas an arena.
No, where is an apartment, Rina?
Oh, okay. I mean, well, that's a note for the next time we do this. If you're still around, Miss Rina, I'm not quite sure. But as an arena, oh, that is vicious. How can you even pick up your name when it's peace like that? An arena. Okay, let's continue. Why are houses in that area expensive?
I suppose it's because it's like the nexus of business and cultural law.
Activities. There's a huge amount of traffic and any building there can knock.
Serve as a business venue, like a store or perhaps something as big as Hun.
Shopping mall, then big companies that construct and sell property might slum.
Also
Alarm!
pull the string to make it seems like the property is highly converted.
Okay, you know what, Hun, Hun and Ngọc, I had to give the credit to Ngọc here. She said, or perhaps something as big as Hun. Now, Hun, are you offended?
I didn't mean that.
I like I didn't think about that.
Well, let me point that out to you because I like to stir the pot. That's an idiom, by the way. Yeah, to create a messy situation. Ngọc, you know what? You have finally had a personality. Yes.
No, I only realized that when you're laughing.
I thought it was like so good, like something as big as Hun. I mean, like Hun. I mean, perhaps this is a sign. Have you been on a diet? Look, this is the last question about it.
Me? Yes, I've been on a diet lately.
Well, then diet harder, okay? Because Ngọc made a random combination, and it was with you, as big as Hun. Wow. Sorry, let's continue.
Mm.
All right. Like that is one way to like indirectly shaming other people. You did a good job here, Ngọc. Okay, let's continue. Where are we, Lam? What are the benefits of living in a high-rise apartment?
Let's see. I feel that the most significant advantage of residing in a high-rise flat is privacy. And Ngọc.
Reason here is that many apartment buildings place emphasis on security control arena.
Who can go in and out? So you, Tiến.
Actually have to have a code or special card that unlocks the doors before Zoom.
Hmm.
I lost track of it.
Here, you can even,
Can't even reach the elevator.
but that's not something all apartments have, right?
Well, I suppose you can also get a
No.
good.
Here.
Oh, yes, that's true.
That's a bit too late.
So,
So what are some of the what are some other advantages?
well, I suppose you can also get a good view of the city. If you want to see Yong,
The beautiful Central Park or the busy street downstairs, then a high-rise apartment. Tiến?
Can give you what you want, far away from the pollution and hunt.
and noises, of course. I'm into mines.
Hold on, Hun, hold your horses. I haven't even
Yeah,
read the
yeah.
question. Do you think that people should be allowed to own many houses?
I'm in two minds about this. I mean, there's a strong argument in our
favor the policy, and that's as long as
Mm.
People pay with the money they have made legally. They should be greener.
Allowed to accumulate property and wealth however they choose. But then I do think that
It can be problematic in the future as the next generation will have a hard time buying a place for themselves.
So why are people willing to spend lots of money on houses? So need to continue here, Zung. Well,
Well, I say it's because houses can serve as a form of investment and
thank you. Okay, so we've managed to finish the whole thing in time. So, like during our like mock test at the beginning, I did stop some of you midway because it did happen to me. And the thing about like speaking part three is that that's what examiners get to do. Like they listen to what you say and then they ask questions. So that's one thing that you should prepare for. Like when you talk to your friends, it's very normal to be interrupted, although those who do that are like assholes, right? I'm telling a story. Why are you even interrupting my flow? Right? But in the speaking test, inquisitive examiners do that all the time. And if you sound robotic, your examiners are very likely to do that. Okay. So, of course, you have to, keep calm and extend your answers. But this is something that you need to have experience with. I've already given you a taste of it at the beginning. All right. And as you can see, you need to keep your cool and just keep on extending your answers. You don't have to give me like a definitive answer, but certainly a direct one. Okay. Let me highlight some of the words here. Like when it comes to speaking part three, like the cat is already out of the bag with regard to what you need to do. Give me an answer here. Give me an answer. Give me extensions, reasons, right? Reason, result, example, so on and so forth. Here, there's several types, generic. The first would be normal houses or private mansions. Depending on where you live, this type of property could be relatively cheap or cost a fortune, idiom. For instance, if you buy a house in the city center, chances are, a phrase, you will have to pay a lot more when purchasing an apartment. So the next question here, which is completely off the script, is how much more expensive? I guess by a large amount. If I'm not mistaken, a phrase, speaking phrase. A house near the city center can cost around $1 million, whereas an apartment is only half that. So why are houses in that area expensive? I suppose it's because it's like the nexus, really nice word, the center of business and cultural activities. There's a huge amount of traffic, a phrase, and any building there can serve as a business venue, serve as something, and perhaps something as big as a what now? As big as what now, Ngọc? Something as big as.
a wait. I keep going.
I'm just asking, as big as what?
Uh, Sun.
Really? You're hesitating? You're still thinking about Hun at this moment?
what?
No,
You could have said as something as big as a shopping mall. Hmm.
a shopping mall. Yes.
Yes, but you were thinking about Hun, right? As big as Hun. Okay. Then big companies can construct and sell property, might also pull the strings to manipulate things, right? To make it seem like the property is highly coveted. Oh, you know which company I'm talking about, right? Do you know it? If you know which company I'm talking about, give me number three. Number three, if you know what I'm talking, sorry, number two. Number two, if you know what I'm talking about. Big companies might try to pull the strings to make it seem like the property is highly coveted. If you know which company I'm talking about, give me number two. Yes, Miss Rina. Yes, Zoom. Yes, Tien. We're on the same wavelength here. But that's it. Let's not get sued. Okay, highly coveted. What are the benefits of living in a high-rise apartment? I feel like the most significant advantage of residing in a high-rise flat is privacy. And the reason here is that many apartments buildings place emphasis on, right, nice phrase, controlling who goes in and out, advanced grammar, controlling, right? So you would actually have to have a code or a special card that unlocks the doors before you can even reach the elevator. Very organic extensions, I'm just describing. But then you see, organic answer, organic question, not all. It's not something that all apartments have, right? Yeah, that's true. So what are some other advantages? You see, I did stop some of you to inject this question in. So prepare for situations like that. You can use my script if you want. Like you can like go from here to here and then you add your own ideas. Okay. Get a good view of the city. Nice phrase. If you want to see the beautiful Central Park or the busy street downstairs, then a high-rise apartment can give you what you want. Far away from the pollution and noises, of course. Now, this is a hard question. Do you think that people should be allowed to own many houses? I'm in two minds about this. Lua, are you reading this with me?
Yes.
This is where you have to be more open-minded and just consider different possibilities. I'm in two minds about this. I'm on the fence about this. I can't tell for sure, right? I mean, there is a strong argument in favor. See that? There's a strong argument that supports this policy. And that's as long as people pay with the money that they have made legally, they should be allowed to accumulate property and wealth however they choose. Essentially, they get to buy as many apartments and houses as they can afford to, as long as they're doing so with good money, clean money, rather than money that's made illegally. But then I do think that it can be problematic in the future, as the next generation will have a hard time buying a place for themselves, right? That's all. You see, I don't mean to say that that's all in the sense that it's easy, because it's not. But this is a mentality that you need to have, like when you do the speaking test. I think that I've already mentioned this already. I don't really advise you guys to say no, right? Not because it's wrong, but because like when you say no, most people tend to have this proclivity to just stop extending their answers, which is not a good thing to do in the speaking test. Okay. I'm aware of the fact that, there are people out there who don't really have to say a whole lot, and their speaking score is still relatively high, like, 8.5 and whatnot, right? But I've gone beyond that, right? I've gone to 9, okay? 9, several times. Too many to count. Let me brag, right? So an 8 or 8.5, fine, but they could be a bit more, they can be even more. And I think that you can be more than what you put on the table right now, if you know how to, just play by the rules and give your examiner what they want. They want the ability and the willingness to speak at length. So do what you must to make sure that you keep the conversation going. If you have an answer, fine. If you don't, speculate, okay? Speculate. All right, any question thus far? Any question? No? All right. This has been a hard lesson, but you know what? Thanks to the light of today's lesson, Miss Ngọc, we managed to end things on a high note. Now, Ngọc, let's just wrap things up here. As big as?
Stop, teacher. I try to avoid it.
As big as a what now?
Okay. Me.
Well, you could have said as big as a shopping mall, but sure. For some reason, yes, she's still thinking about it. Now, Hun, you need to do something about her. Perhaps, you might want to buy a rocket and launch it at her house. I don't know. Okay, bye-bye.